How can the Prime Minister scrap the Barnett formula when he's just vowed to keep it on the front page of a major Scottish newspaper?
Well, look, I think if we're going to see financial devolution to Scotland, more powers of tax and spend, it's impossible not to look at the impact on the wider union. And there have been promises made to the Scots, and we should do our level best to deliver those. But there have also been a lot of promises made to the English, the Welsh and the Northern Irish. And if you look at the Barnett formula, which allocates revenue across the UK, it is massively prejudicial to those other parts. We've got double the number of ambulance staff and nurses in Scotland compared to England. The regional breakdown is even more stark, double the amount spent on social housing in Scotland and then Yorkshire, the North West, the Midlands. The Welsh do very poorly on social services for the elderly. What are we saying here? That the needs of children, patients and the elderly in England, Wales and Northern Ireland are worth less than the Scots? That's not a way to proceed if we want a sustainable solution to this.
Well, I understand the distributional impact of Barnett, but Westminster politicians are already held in contempt by a lot of people. To rat on such a public pledge would just confirm their worst fears. Your leader, would have secured the union on a false prospectus.
Well, I don't even think, well, first of all, by the way, it's very clear from Lord Ashcroft's polling that the offer made in the Scottish newspaper had zero effect, if anything, it was counterproductive to the overall result, because most two-thirds of swing voters in the last few days voted for independence. But we can't keep proceeding without also looking at the promises made to the English. We said in our referendum that we were going to have English laws on English votes on English issues. The Liberal Democrats, interestingly, in their manifesto, pledged to scrap Barnett. So what we've actually got to do is reconcile all the promises to all parts of the United Kingdom. And, you know, Alex Salmond talks about a Westminster stitch-up. What he's really trying to do is, through gross double standards, is entrench a stitch-up in rapid time, which actually would be grossly unfair to the rest of the United Kingdom. And frankly, if Ed Miliband wants to go into the next election selling out the English, good luck to him.
Well, what exactly is unfair about the current spending formula? I mean, the extra money Scotland gets from Barnett is covered by the oil revenues it sends to London. Scotland's only getting back in spending what it pays in tax.
There's absolutely no analysis out there that suggests that they're the same amounts. And, of course, having voted to stay in the United Kingdom... Hold on.
There is. Let me just give you the figures. Last year, oil revenues were 4.5 billion. Last year, the Barnett formula was worth 4.5 billion to Scotland. It's a wash.
Well, actually, a huge amount of British taxpayers' investment has gone into extracting North Sea oil. If we're going to move to a more federal system, sure, we would need to look at things like the allocation of resources. But the Barnett formula has been lambasted as a national embarrassment, grossly unfair, by its Labour Party architect, Lord Barnett, as you said earlier in the programme. So actually what we need is to change this mechanism so it's based on need. And the irony is that when the Scots allocate revenue to their local authorities in Scotland, it's done on a needs basis. The grants are done on a need basis. What's good for Scotland must be good for the rest of Britain.
One final question. The Prime Minister is now making his promise of more home rule for Scotland conditional on English votes for English laws. Why did he spell out that condition when he made his vow to the Scottish people? Why is this condition being tacked on by the Prime Minister?
Well, look, in the heat of the referendum debate, I think lots of things were said, but the truth is that Parliament must also look at this and make its view known. And English MPs, and I think you'll find a Conservative, but also a lot of Labour MPs, will say, look, we can't just rush through a deal which is unsustainable. If we're going to have a new deal for Britain, it's got to be good for all parts of Britain. So, yes, we should deliver on our promises for more devolution to Scotland, but let's also deliver on those promises to the English, the Welsh and the Northern Irish. Why are they locked out of this debate?
All right, let's leave it there. Dominic, Raab, thanks for joining us.